What year is it? We have a Kevin Durant sweepstakes, and it looks like the Golden State Warriors are at the front of the list. This is absolutely insane. We're getting reports here, reports there. Sources are flying. Insiders are trying to figure out what is going to happen with the Phoenix Suns. Are they going to get Jimmy Butler? Are they going to get Kevin? Are they dealing Durant if they don't get Butler? We have a ton to unpack on today's show, but let's jump right in to this from Chris Mannix. He says the Suns have listed KD as doubtful for tomorrow night's game against OKC. That is very, very significant. Teams often, especially with Durant's situation right now, he's not incredibly injured, and to rule him basically out for a game that's happening tomorrow, and very ironically against the OKC Thunder, is something of note. A Sports Illustrated report yesterday said there's an increasing belief among rival executives that if Phoenix cannot land Jimmy Butler in a trade, the Suns will engage on a Kevin Durant deal. Phoenix is working on two fronts right now, trying to get Jimmy Butler, but also trying to field trade calls on Kevin Durant in case that falls through. And this is why you subscribe. We literally talked about this earlier today on the channel, that Golden State is a real possibility for Kevin Durant being traded to. And guys, we're going live for the trade deadline, and you're not going to want to miss out. This news could break on February 6th. We'll be live about 3 hours before the trade deadline. And you guys got to subscribe and make sure you turn on notifications, because what if this trade, it goes down tonight in the wee hours of the night? We're going to go live. I'm going to get my ass here to the Chat Sports Studios and go live for a Kevin Durant trade. So make sure you turn on notifications as well so you are alerted in case we do go live, and obviously when we go live on the trade deadline. So something else of note in this KD trade saga coming from Grant Afseth of Dallas Hoops Journal, who says multiple league sources have told me there is an increasing belief that Kevin Durant lands with the Golden State Warriors. Plenty has to happen, but the Warriors' pursuit of this trade has been aggressive. Just figured I'd mention this as something to watch as the deadline looms. Now, I'm not necessarily someone who's super familiar with Grant Afseth and any of his credibility, so I am a little bit skeptical at this, but what he's saying kind of lines up with what the rest of these insiders are saying. Let's go back to yesterday, where Chris Mannix said this: the Warriors are indeed serious about reuniting with Kevin Durant, according to sources, and with efforts to acquire Jimmy Butler stalled. Rival execs believe the Suns are strongly considering Durant deals before the deadline. And it's not just NBA executives, or not just NBA insiders, who think this is a legit possibility. The Vegas sportsbooks think it as well, as the Golden State Warriors are number one. You don't even have to pay attention to any of these teams. KD ain't going to any of these teams. We'll talk about a couple of teams in pursuit of him as well in just a moment. But the Warriors are number one on the list, plus 220, and it's by a wide margin there. You see the next best team, Wizards, which makes zero sense, at plus 325. But it's just something to note that Golden State is viewed across NBA insiders and across Vegas sportsbooks, who we all know they're always right, as the number one team on Durant's next team. And also, per The Athletic, two teams that were not listed on that little list you saw right there, the Mavericks and the Rockets, are also ramping up major pursuits on KD. The Rockets actually would have a really good trade package to put together to make a Durant deal. The Mavs, I don't know so much. They do have a couple tradable first-round picks. I think Golden State might have the best deal possible for Durant. But this all started a couple of days ago, right? When Jake Fisher of the Steinline said this: Phoenix, entering Monday's business, continued to signal that it does not plan to move Durant before the deadline, but the Suns are believed to be listening at the very least to various teams' pitches for the 35-year-old scoring legend. Durant, meanwhile, is said to be aware of all of this. And things are moving fast. Like, that quote came out yesterday, and now we're seeing Warriors at the front of discussions. Phoenix is going to be pivoting to a Durant trade if they can't land Butler. This is a real possibility that Durant gets moved before Thursday's trade deadline. This is absolutely insane. And I think Golden State, really, if they want to contend and want to, show Steph and maybe Draymond, maybe not, that they care and they want him to pursue a fifth championship, Durant is the guy to go out there and make a move for. He is the best player that could be traded at this year's deadline. Forget about Giannis. This is KD's time now. He can return to the Bay. What do you guys think about it? Should Durant come back to the Bay? And should Golden State trade for Durant? It's going to cost a lot. He costs $51.7 million right now. And with the sticky situations of the cap in Phoenix and Golden State, they're going to have to basically cut it even Should Golden State trade for KD? Let me know in the comments section. Type T for trade, type P for pass. Next up, we have to examine this part as well. Does Durant want to come back? And what does Phoenix want back in a deal if Golden State and them engage in a serious discussion about moving KD back to San Francisco? We'll talk about that in just a moment, plus a trade idea. But first, I got to give a major shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform with over 10 million active members, including yours truly, because it's so easy and so fun to watch your favorite sports and win real money in real time. I'm talking up to 1,000 times your money when you play Prize Picks, and they're always trying to hook you guys up with incredible deals, like a free $50 in your account when you sign up and use our promo code CLNS and place your first $5 entry. You might be asking me, how do you place an entry on Prize Picks? Super simple. Just pick 2 or more players and just pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can watch the winnings roll in real time. You can get paid in as quickly as 15 minutes where you get your money deposited into your account using Prize Picks. And it's not just the free $50 that they're hooking you guys up with. When big games come around, they're giving you guys free squares, just like this one right here. Patty Mahomes just needs 1 passing yard in the big game. Well, if you pair that up with another player in the big game, or a basketball player, or a hockey player, or anything of your choice, you're already halfway to winning 3x your money on Prize Picks. So take advantage of this deal and download the Prize Picks app today. Use our promo code CLNS for $50 instantly when you place your first $5 entry. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. All that information is clickable down in the comment section and description of today's video. This big-time quote came out from Jake Fisher and Mark Stein a little bit earlier today before these most recent reports came out, and they said there is a measure of concern for the Warriors beyond the ongoing challenge of trying to get the reluctant Suns to actually part with Durant in the first place about Durant's true willingness to return to the Bay Area for a second engagement after no shortage of turmoil during his highly successful first stint as a Warrior. And that's makes sense, right? Like, this has always been Durant's choice if he is going to get traded. I feel like the Suns will work with him as far as sending him to a new location. It's not going to be like they're not going to send him to Washington. Like that's just not happening. They're going to send him to a winner, and that's obviously what KD wants to do in this point in his career. He wants to win. And sending him back to Golden State wouldn't necessarily put them in the spot that they were back in 2017, right? They wouldn't be the villains anymore. I think everybody would actually root on Steph and KD in their reunion in pursuit of another title. And what's really interesting about this whole timeline is when the Suns and Warriors played a couple of days ago, executives were talking about it. Joe Lacob and Bob Myers, who was incredibly instrumental in bringing KD to the Warriors in the first place, was announcing that game on ESPN. And they went underneath the Warriors arena, basically, in this underground club with Rich Kleiman, KD's agent and longtime business partner. What do you think they were speaking about? They weren't talking about the weather. They weren't talking about their mother's cupcakes. Like, they were talking about a Durant trade, and they were talking about bringing him back to Golden State. And this could legitimately happen. I feel like all the little tea leaves that we're reading right now makes it seem like Golden State is the most likely possibility for a KD trade. Now, the next question is, what is Golden State sending out to Phoenix in this deal? What does Phoenix want back from the Dubs? Well, Sam Amick of The Athletic just dropped a bombshell article talking about the Mavs' interest, talking about the Rockets' interest, and talking about the Golden State Warriors' interest, as well as what Phoenix would want back. He says, in exploratory conversations, the Warriors have only been met with an exorbitant asking price in theoretical structures, essentially everything of future value, considering the tricky spot the Suns seem to find themselves. League sources say 4-time All-Star forward Draymond Green, who has an established relationship with fellow Michigan State alum and Suns owner Matt Ishbia, is among the Warriors players Phoenix is known to covet. Well, that's not the only player that Phoenix is coveting as well, as Jake Fisher reported that Jonathan Kuminga is a player of interest for the Suns as well. And, you know, if you're trading away Durant, Kuminga's probably, they don't play alike at all, but like Kuminga's probably a player you're going to want back in a deal from Golden State. You're going to want some future assets, and Kuminga's the best future asset that this team has. It's going to be tricky, though. I think that this is going to require a multi-team deal. If Phoenix and Golden State were going to do a 1-and-1 trade, like Golden State would have to send away 4 or 5 players, and Phoenix can only send away KD because they're above the second apron, and those teams cannot aggregate contracts. They cannot send multiple players out in a deal. So I think a third team would have to get involved. And remember when we saw the Wizards on that next team odds in the graphic a little bit earlier ago? Well, why don't we put him in this 3-team deal, a trade idea that sends Durant to the Warriors? And if you watched earlier today's video, this looks eerily similar to what we had, except Draymond is now in the place of Andrew Wiggins, as we have heard that Phoenix is fond of Draymond and they would want him back in a deal for Durant. And this makes it more likely, like that's another thing that I think makes it more likely, is because KD would be probably the most open and receptive to coming back to Golden State if Draymond was on his way out and he was shipped off to Phoenix. Like, unfortunately, that's the reality. They have a tiff, and things didn't really end well necessarily with Draymond and KD in Golden State, and that was part of the reason that KD decided to leave. Wasn't the whole reason, but he wasn't very, enthused by how Draymond and his relationship went toward the back half of his Warriors tenure. And if they trade Durant, like, I think that deal that I just showed you is the best that they're going to get. You land an intriguing young player in Jonathan Kuminga, who's ascending. You land Draymond Green, who could be your defensive anchor for this championship window that you're still trying to pursue. And you get Jonas Valanciunas from the Wizards, who's the offensive center that you covet. Then you can go flip a guy like Jusuf Nurkic for some guard of some sort or a rotational wing. I think it's a good deal. Plus, you get valuable assets in the draft from Golden State as well, the 2026 and 2028 first-round pick, which could be incredibly valuable. Steph's contract will be up. KD's contract will be up. And who knows who's going to be on the Warriors roster during the 27-28 season. This is a crazy deal. I understand. You're trading away a guy like in Draymond who has done infinity things for this franchise. He is the identity of the Warriors. Would you make the trade? Let me know in the comments section. Type A for accept, type D for decline. I think there's a real possibility that Durant finds his way back to Golden State before the trade deadline is over. And if you think I'm crazy, if you think I'm wild, like, call me out on Twitter. Hit me up at Smitty at CS. I'm trying to build a little bit of a community over there. And if KD does get traded, we'll report the news there as well. And like I said earlier, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're bringing you guys every single update around your Warriors heading into this trade deadline. 2 videos today. You guys know, if you're a diehard Warriors fan, you'll love what we got going on here at the channel. So hit that sub button. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.